All right, welcome back to Protect and Invest with Marsha, where we help people live financially free. So yeah, I'm gonna get straight into this. I think it's as clear as day. All right, there are 6 things I wish I did differently in my 20s. Right, I am now 31. I'm a grown woman, okay, and I've lived and I learned, and thankfully I've learned because I've been able to change things around and make things a bit better for myself. So my goal is to help you do better as well, however I can, okay? Especially if you are in your 20s. Most of the people that I end up engaging with or that watch my videos are people within my age group, whether they're in their mid-20s through their 30s, even their early 40s. So wherever you find yourself, maybe any of these tips that I give you or these things that I share with you is something that resonate with you. It's something that you can still do no matter your age. But we're gonna go ahead and get right into it. All right, first thing is first. It's very important that when you are in your 20s, especially if you are 20 years old, that you invest, okay? Invest. This is the time to use time as a like asset, right? Time is something that you can't get back, but time, as much of it that we do have, can really work to our benefit if we invest. Now, my personal, interest is, in a variety of different types of investments. I'm interested in investing in real estate someday, but I'm very much invested into the stock market and all this other stuff. So I think it's important for people to look at investing at a young age, understand what asset classes are. Basically, that's a fancy word of saying, look at the different types of investments that are out there, whether it's real estate or whether it's the stock market or securities, whether it's, partnering up on a business, whether it's, investing in crypto and all that stuff. Like, it's up to you to do your research to determine what works for you, but it's important that you invest because time will tell when the value of the things you invest in goes up. Because when the value goes up, you become wealthier. All right. And generally speaking, people who invest are the people who get rich. That's just true. That's just how it works, okay? You could save your dimes in your savings account all you want, but that money does not grow. But what does grow is inflation. And even outside of the inflation we're seeing today that are at record highs, before the pandemic, inflation was going up on average 2% every year, and the money in your savings account is earning probably 0.001%, which is practically nothing, okay? So your dollar yesterday will not stretch the way it did, okay, moving forward. All right, that $1,000 you had last year is probably worth $700 today because of how far you can stretch those dollars. So please invest, because when you get to be 30 years old, you will realize, like, man, 10 years done passed by, 5 years done passed by, I could have had an extra $100,000 or whatever the case is had I invested, okay? And you can invest while you're in school. Invest with the little money you're getting from the jobs that you currently have, whether you're working at the cafe or, you're working at the bookstore. Like, put $25 away and invest it into somewhere that's gonna grow for you. And if you're wondering, oh, well, how the heck do I do that? Well, I can basically help people with doing that at a very affordable price, but it's important for you to start somewhere. All right, next up is going to be establishing good credit. Yes, credit matters. I get it. I know debt is bad, but how you manage debt matters as well. At some point in time, we're all going to pull out debt. All right, it's just important to handle debt responsibly, because when you need to pull it out, you want to be favored, right? You want to be on the favorable side of the debt borrowing if you're going to be doing that at any point in your life, like buying a house, major purchase. It's probably one of the most expensive purchases we're ever going to make in our lives. But anyways, it's important for you to establish the good debt, build on that as early as possible, and doing so responsibly, whether it's taking out a credit card, but taking it out to pay off those your credit card quickly. Just make sure you, and a tip I would give is, if you have $1,000, for instance, and you want to purchase, I don't know, $50 item at the store, just make sure when you swipe that card, you take the $50 out of that $1,000 to pay off that credit card. Okay, have the amount of money you're planning to use or more, have it available for when the time comes where you're using your credit card, you can pay it off immediately because you do not want to be drowning in debt, or you want to make sure you pay off that card before its closing statement date or whatever the case is. You don't want debt to build over time. So the goal is pay it off immediately every month, maybe just auto pay feature on. It's coming specifically from an account that has the money to pay that off. And when you build good credit, you qualify for better loans. Even if you own your own business and you're trying to build business credit, starting off, sometimes there are agencies out there, whether it may be a business credit card, business accounts, that are going to look at your personal credit before they give you business credit, especially when you're just starting off. And also, even if you are established business with pretty good business credit, some instances may still look at your personal credit before offering you any type of line of credit, especially if you're talking about major dollars. Okay. All right, next, okay, number 3, it's important that you build your savings account, your emergency savings specifically. And I say that because emergencies happen. I know building credit is important and we may need to pull out a credit card here and there, but it is important that your first line of defense in any emergency is not credit. Credit you use for luxury. Your savings is what you use for an emergency. So let's try to distinguish those two before anyone thinks anything differently. But your emergency savings is gonna come through and help you avoid bad debt. All right, so it's important to try your best to save at least $2,000 starting off, and then building your savings for the next 3 to 6 months, right? So to cover the next 3 to 6 months worth of monthly expenses, okay? Just focus on those necessary expenses like your rent, right? Or any type of housing that you have, your vehicle, food costs, gas costs. So any core day-to-day living expenses, make sure to have 3 to 6 months worth of emergency savings there for you, okay? If your car breaks down, you don't want to have to go pull out a credit card for that, okay? Make sure to save for emergencies. All right, this next tip here is something I wish someone told me about when I was even 18. And that is consider non-traditional job opportunities that can still yield you really good income. So there are tons of people out there who have jobs that didn't require a traditional bachelor's, master's degree, or for you to go through the traditional education process, okay? Get your high school diploma now. I ain't telling you to drop out of high school. You need to be educated. I think it's important for people to be knowledgeable about, just different types of topics, math, science, read, like that's important. Do not skip that. But when you're done with high school, there's so many opportunities for you to take on that doesn't require you going to college. And matter of fact, you can make a lot of money doing other jobs that can fund your college so that you avoid paying student loans. And yes, though a couple of people, and when I say couple, maybe millions of people who have student loans recently are going to benefit from some of the forgiveness on their loan that was recently issued by the Biden administration. But that doesn't speak to people in the future, especially if you're young and you're thinking to go to college soon or whatever the case is. You may very well not benefit from that. And I'm not saying that even is a bailout for anyone, because you still owe money. Even if they're cutting a portion of your debt out, you still owe money. So avoid even being placed in that position by looking for other non-traditional jobs that pay well. So one thing to consider is licenses. Get a license in a particular field. And interestingly enough, there are licenses that really don't cost that much to actually get, whether it may be in financial services or real estate or whatever. Get a license and get under a company that can train you up and get you to start making money. And it's important, I think, for people to also learn how to work in performance-based jobs, not just salary or hourly jobs, because your income potential is most times unlimited. You can make millions of dollars doing a job that will pay you for the work you do, not just per hour where you're capped. All right, and soon enough you'll be able to save and have money to pay for all of the education you want in life without paying a single loan. The next thing that's important for you to do is please do not get bad money advice. Do not listen to broke people. Well, when I say broke people, like, do not listen to people who are not carrying the right behaviors, financially speaking. Okay, if they're in a constant revolving door of debt, if they're not showing that they're able to save, right? They're always asking for help for this and that and this. That says there's a money problem here. And so do not get financial advice from people who are not financially in the place for them to be giving financial advice, especially if you notice they're bad with money. Like, please do not, just stay away from that, right? You don't go to, I don't know, a veterinarian to fix your car, right? You go to a mechanic, right? So go to the right person for the right thing. Maybe they're good with giving advice in other places in your life because they're good at that. They've demonstrated it. But when it comes to finances, you have to be very careful who you get advice from. It has to be people who are doing really well, who can tell you how you can do better as well, or someone who's making the right decisions to change their circumstance, and you see them changing their circumstance, so you're like, hey, you're actually in the right direction, exactly where I want to go. How are you doing it? That's fine. Okay, they don't have to be gajillionaires or anything, but just don't get bad advice from the wrong people on finances. All right, last but not least is the 60-30-10 rule. Yes, there is a rule on how you should be spending your money. And the rule is important just so that you can manage your money well and make sure that you're doing the best thing that's going to be helpful for you in the long run, both for you and your family or the family to come. Because many of us want to get married, we want to have kids, we want to afford this wonderful life. But if you carry on the bad habits of not managing your money well, you're probably not going to get there, and will be like most Americans, most people out here living paycheck to paycheck, got 2 degrees, got student loans up to the roof, and can't seem to get a handle or a grip on this stuff. So here is the rule. All right, so 60% of your money should be going towards savings, investing, and paying off debt. That's where that 60% portion of your monthly income should be going towards. And then the 30% should be towards your needs, right? So obviously you need to live somewhere. So your housing costs, your car, your food, right? Whatever, hygiene products, I don't know, whatever you need to take care of yourself that's necessary, okay? Sorry, but going to the movies is not necessary, and going to a trip to Dubai is not necessary, not when you know your finances are out of order, okay? And then the next 10% is discretionary. So yeah, you want to take a trip, you want to go in time, you know, enjoy some time with the girls, you want to get your nails done, your hair done, girl. I don't blame you for that, but it should be a very small portion of your budget that goes towards discretionary uses. And that's just so that, you know, obviously you keep your priorities at the top, so that you can benefit and live like nobody else later, all right? And the great thing about that is that, you know, when you carry on these rules, you're going to see it pay off dividends. You're doing things people are not doing. Rather, what they're doing is 60% is going towards discretionary, 30% maybe they're living and daily expenses, and then the 10% is, oh yeah, I'll save, or I'll try to invest it here and there in my 401k, and they have no clue what they're doing, and then they're down the line working their tails off until they're 70 years old, and it's like you could have lived a better life had you just done this as soon as possible, right? 60-30-10, that's it. So anyway, that's all I have for you. That is what I would do differently in my 20s. And now that I'm 30, I'm thankful that I am on a better and a different track, but there's many people who are not. And if you find yourself in that category, you can still change things around. See you on another video, and I will talk to you again.